Welcome to Echo No More, the podcast for women ready to break free from the patterns of narcissistic abuse and reclaim their voice. I'm Dr. James, a coach and a survivor here to guide you from self-doubt to self-worth, one conversation at a time. Whether you're just beginning your healing journey or are ready to step fully into your power, you'll find tools, stories, and encouragement right here. Let's get started. Welcome back to Echo No More. I'm Dr. Carolina James, and today we're talking about something that almost nobody discusses openly: relapse. Not relapse with substances, relapse with people. Going back, reaching out, checking their social media, responding to the text you swore you'd never answer, convincing yourself that maybe this time will be different. If you've ever done that, I want you to hear me clearly. You're not weak, you're not stupid, you're not broken. You are human. And more importantly, you are likely trauma bonded. One of the biggest misconceptions survivors have is believing that once they leave, the hardest part is over. Sometimes leaving is the easy part. Staying gone is the hard part, because when you are no longer dealing with the chaos, you're left alone with the withdrawals. And that's exactly what it feels like: withdrawal. Many people don't realize that toxic relationships create addiction-like patterns in the brain. One moment you're receiving affection, attention, validation, promises, hope. The next moment you're experiencing rejection, criticism, distance, punishment, confusion. Your nervous system becomes trapped in an unpredictable cycle. And over time, chaos starts feeling familiar. Familiar starts feeling safe, and safe starts feeling like love. That's why so many survivors leave and then find themselves wanting to go back. Not because the relationship was healthy, because the nervous system misses what it became conditioned to expect. So let's remove the shame from that, because shame keeps people stuck. Understanding creates freedom. I know this because I've lived it. And if I'm being completely honest, one of the most humbling parts of my healing journey was realizing that knowledge doesn't automatically break trauma bonds. I knew things weren't healthy. I knew what was happening. I understood narcissistic abuse. I could explain it, teach it, to research it. And yet there are still moments when part of me wanted to believe things could be different, mostly for my son's sake. That's also important to understand. Trauma bonds don't disappear because you become educated. They disappear because you repeatedly choose reality over fantasy, and that takes practice. One of the biggest breakthroughs I had was realizing that relapse doesn't start when you send the text. It starts much earlier. It starts in your thoughts. It starts when you stop talking about what happened. It starts when you stop reading your journal. It starts when you start focusing on the good memories. It starts when loneliness begins whispering. It starts when your brain starts editing the story. You know what I mean? Suddenly you're remembering the vacations, the laughter, the good conversations, the moments they seem loving. But you're forgetting the panic, the walking on eggshells, the anxiety, the confusion, the exhaustion. That's why relapse can feel so convincing. Your brain becomes an unreliable narrator. It starts presenting selected highlights while conveniently skipping the painful parts. One of the things I teach my clients is this: nostalgia is not evidence. Missing someone is not evidence. Longing is not evidence. Loneliness is not evidence. The fact that you miss someone does not mean they were good for you. It simply means they mattered to you. There's a difference. Let's talk about some of the warning signs that relapse may be approaching. The first one is romanticizing. You begin remembering who they could be rather than who they consistently were. The second is minimizing. You start saying things like, "It wasn't all that bad. Maybe I overreacted. Nobody's perfect. Maybe I expected too much. Pay attention when those thoughts show up, because that's often trauma bonding talking, not truth. Another warning sign is believing that they've changed despite seeing little evidence of that change. One apology, one message, one kind interaction, one promise of going to therapy, and suddenly your brain starts building an entire future around it. I understand that temptation. Most survivors don't want revenge. We want resolution. We want accountability. We want the story to end differently. But wanting something doesn't make it real. One of the hardest lessons I learned was that potential is not a relationship. Patterns are. Pay attention to patterns, not to promises, patterns. Now, let's talk about what to do when the urge to relapse hits you, because eventually it will. There will be a birthday, an anniversary, a holiday, a lonely evening, a difficult day. Something will trigger the desire to reconnect. When that happens, I want you to have a plan. The first thing I recommend is what I call a 24-hour rule. Do nothing for 24 hours. No text, no call, no checking social media, no sending the email, nothing. Give your nervous system time to settle. Most urges lose intensity when we stop feeding them. Second, create what I call a truth journal. Mine became one of the most important tools in my healing. Whenever something happened that hurt me, confused me, or made me question my reality, I wrote it down. Not because I wanted to stay angry, because I wanted a record of reality. Because trauma bonding loves revisionist history. When I felt tempted to go back, I would read those entries. Not the version my emotions wanted me to remember, the version that actually happened. And every time, reality brought me back. Third, call someone safe. Not someone who will tell you what you want to hear. Someone who will remind you why you left. Someone who knows the whole story. Someone who isn't emotionally invested in the fantasy. And finally, build replacement bonds. This is something survivors often overlook. You can't spend years making one person your entire emotional world and then expect healing to happen in complete isolation. Your nervous system needs safe connection, friendships, communities, support groups, therapy, coaching, purpose, creativity. Something that teaches your body that connection doesn't have to hurt. One of the reasons building Echo No More became so meaningful to me is because it helped me replace survival with purpose. It reminded me that there was life beyond the pain, and that's important because healing isn't just about leaving something behind. It's about building something new. Before we finish, I want to say something directly to the person listening who may be struggling right now. Maybe you've already gone back. Maybe you've broken no contact. Maybe you're ashamed. Maybe you're beating yourself up. Please hear this. Healing is not linear. The average survivor of narcissistic abuse takes between 9 and 12 attempts to leave for good. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is awareness. Every relapse teaches you something. Every setback teaches you something. Every time you choose reality over fantasy, you strengthen the part of yourself that's trying to heal. I know because I've lived it. I know what it's like to want the story to end differently. I know it's like to crave closure. I know what it's like to wonder if maybe this time would be different. But eventually, I learned that healing wasn't about finding the perfect ending. It was about accepting the truth, and the truth set me free. This week, your action step is simple. Write down 3 truths you need to remember when your emotions start rewriting the story. Mine would be: love shouldn't hurt, consistency matters more than promises, peace is not boring, peace is safe. Keep those truths somewhere visible, because when trauma bond starts talking, you will need something stronger than emotion. You'll need reality. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Echo No More. Until next time, remember this: freedom isn't just leaving. Freedom is learning to trust yourself enough not to go back. Thank you for joining me today on Echo No More. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. For free resources and coaching opportunities, visit www.echonomorecoaching.org. And always remember, your voice matters, and the echo ends here.